You spent 40 years saving for retirement. You did everything right. You maxed out your 401k. You lived below your means. You sacrificed vacations and nice cars so you could build a nest egg. And now you're 65 years old with $1 million saved. You think you're set for life. And then you turn 73, and the government sends you a letter. It says you are required by law to withdraw a certain percentage of your retirement account every year. And you have to pay income tax on every dollar you withdraw. And if you don't withdraw enough, they fine you 50% of what you should have taken out. This isn't optional. This isn't a suggestion. This is the law. It's called Required Minimum Distributions, or RMDs. And it's the reason why millions of Americans who thought they were financially secure end up broke in their 80s. My name is Max, and I spend way too much time studying the retirement traps that nobody warns you about until it's too late. If you're someone who's been diligently saving for retirement and thinks you're doing everything right, you need to understand RMDs before they destroy your financial future. Hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if you want to learn the tax strategies the wealthy use to avoid this trap. Let me explain exactly how this works, because it's more insidious than you think. When you contribute to a traditional 401k or traditional IRA, you get a tax deduction today. If you make $60,000 and you contribute $10,000 to your 401k, you only pay taxes on $50,000. But here's the catch: that money doesn't stay tax-deferred forever. The government wants their money, and they've designed the system to ensure they get it. Starting at age 73, you are required to withdraw a minimum amount from your retirement accounts every year. The percentage starts at about 3.77% and increases every year as you get older. By age 80, you're required to withdraw about 5.35%. By age 90, it's over 8%. But here's where it gets brutal. Every dollar you withdraw is taxed as ordinary income. Not capital gains, not dividends. Ordinary income, the same rate as your salary. If you're in the 22% federal tax bracket, plus state taxes, you could be paying 27 to 32% total. If you're in the 24% bracket, you could be paying up to 37% in some states. But wait, it gets worse. Those RMD withdrawals can push you into a higher tax bracket. Let me show you how this plays out with real numbers. Let's say you retire at 65 with $1 million in your 401k. You're married, filing jointly. You also get Social Security, which pays you $36,000 per year combined for you and your spouse. Your plan is to withdraw $40,000 per year from your 401k to supplement your Social Security, giving you $76,000 per year to live on. That's reasonable. That's below the 4% rule, so your money should last. From age 65 to 72, everything's fine. You're withdrawing $40,000 per year, paying taxes on it, and your account keeps growing because of investment returns. By age 73, your account has grown to about $1.1 million, even after your withdrawals. But now the government steps in. At age 73, your RMD is 3.77% of $1.1 million, which is about $41,470. That's more than the $40,000 you were planning to withdraw, but not by much. You pay taxes on it and move on. But here's the problem. Your account keeps growing, and your RMD percentage keeps increasing. By age 80, your RMD is $57,000. By age 85, it's $71,000. By age 90, it's $89,000. And you have to pay income tax on all of it. Now, let's say you don't actually need that much money to live on. You were happy with your $40,000 per year plan. But the government is forcing you to take out $89,000 at age 90. What do you do with the extra money? Well, you can't put it back into a retirement account. You've already maxed out your contribution limits. So you put it in a regular brokerage account, where it will be taxed again on any dividends or capital gains. You're being double taxed on money you didn't even want to withdraw. But wait, there's another layer to this nightmare. Those large RMD withdrawals can trigger what's called the Social Security tax torpedo. Here's how it works. Social Security benefits can be taxable depending on your income. If your combined income is below $25,000 as an individual or $32,000 as a couple, your Social Security is tax-free. But once you cross those thresholds, up to 85% of your Social Security becomes taxable. So let's go back to our couple. They're receiving $36,000 per year in Social Security. Before RMDs, they were withdrawing $40,000 from their 401k, giving them $76,000 total. About 46% of their Social Security was taxable. But now they're forced to take an $89,000 RMD. Suddenly, 85% of their Social Security is taxable. They went from paying taxes on about $16,500 of their Social Security to paying taxes on about $30,600. That's an extra $14,000 in taxable income they didn't have before, just because the RMD pushed them over the threshold. And it compounds. The more you're forced to withdraw, the more of your Social Security gets taxed, which means you're paying taxes on taxes. It's a tax avalanche. Now, let me show you the absolute worst-case scenario, because this is what happens to people who saved diligently but didn't understand RMDs. Let's say you retired at 65 with $2 million in your 401k. You're living comfortably on Social Security plus small withdrawals. You don't need much because your house is paid off. By age 73, your account has grown to $2.4 million. Your RMD is $90,480. You don't need that money. You're living on $50,000 per year, and you're happy. But you're forced to take it out and pay taxes on it. So you take the $90,000, pay about $27,000 in federal and state taxes, and you're left with $63,000. You spend $50,000 and reinvest the remaining $13,000 in a brokerage account. This continues every year. By age 80, your RMDs are over $120,000 per year. You're paying $36,000 in taxes. By age 85, your RMDs are over $150,000. Taxes are $45,000, and the money you've been forced to withdraw and reinvest is sitting in a taxable account generating dividends and capital gains that you also have to pay taxes on. At age 90, you look at your situation and realize something horrifying. You started with $2 million. You've been forced to withdraw and pay taxes on over $2 million over the past 17 years. And yet, you still have money left in your 401k because of investment growth. But that money is now shrinking rapidly because the RMD percentages are so high. You're being forced to liquidate your retirement at the worst possible time, paying maximum taxes, and you can't stop it. And here's the absolute cruelest part. If you die with money still in your 401k, your heirs have to pay taxes on it when they inherit it. And recent law changes mean they have to withdraw the entire account within 10 years, which pushes them into higher tax brackets and destroys even more wealth through taxation. So the government gets you coming and going. They tax you when you withdraw during your lifetime, and they tax your kids when they inherit what's left. This is why I call it the RMD trap. It's a time bomb built into the retirement system that most people don't discover until it's too late to fix. The answer is simple. Money. The government gave you a tax deduction when you contributed to your 401k, and now they want that tax revenue back. And they want it at the time when you're likely to be in a high tax bracket because your investments have grown. Think about it from their perspective. They let you defer $50,000 in taxes over your working career. But by the time you're in your 70s, that $50,000 has grown to $200,000 through compound interest. And now they can tax all 200,000. They gave you a small break up front, and they're getting a massive payday on the back end. It's genius from a government revenue perspective. It's devastating from a retiree's perspective. So what do? How do you avoid this trap? The answer is Roth conversions. And if you're not already doing them, you need to start immediately. Here's how it works. A Roth IRA is the opposite of a traditional IRA. You contribute after-tax money, but all the growth and withdrawals are completely tax-free. And most importantly, Roth IRAs are not subject to RMDs during your lifetime. You never have to take the money out if you don't want to. So the strategy is to convert your traditional 401k or IRA to a Roth IRA over time, paying the taxes now while you can control the timing and the bracket. Let me show you a smart Roth conversion strategy. Let's say you retire at 65 with $1 million in your 401k. Instead of just letting it sit there and grow, you start converting chunks of it to a Roth IRA every year. You convert enough each year to fill up your current tax bracket without pushing yourself into the next one. For example, if you're married filing jointly, the 22% federal tax bracket goes up to about $94,300 of taxable income in 2024. Let's say you have $36,000 in Social Security, and you need another $40,000 from your 401k to live on. That puts you at $76,000 in taxable income, assuming about 46% of your Social Security is taxable. You could convert an additional $18,000 from your traditional 401k to a Roth without leaving the 22% bracket. You'd pay about $4,000 in federal taxes on that conversion, plus state taxes. But now that $18,000 is in a Roth, growing tax-free, and it will never be subject to RMDs. You do this every year from 65 to 72. That's 8 years of conversions. $18,000 per year times 8 years is $144,000 that you've moved from your traditional 401k to your Roth IRA. That $144,000 is now off the table for RMDs. It's growing tax-free. You can withdraw it any time without taxes. And when you die, your heirs inherit it tax-free. But here's where it gets really powerful. Because you converted some of your traditional 401k to a Roth, your RMDs starting at 73 are now calculated on a smaller balance. Instead of IRMDs on 1.1 million, you're taking IRMDs on about 960,000. That's a difference of about $5,200 in your first RMD. And that difference compounds every year. Smaller RMDs mean less taxable income. Less taxable income means less of your Social Security is taxable. Less taxable Social Security means you stay in a lower tax bracket. Lower tax bracket means more of your money stays in your pocket instead of going to the government. Over your lifetime, the tax savings from doing Roth conversions in your 60s can be hundreds of thousands of dollars. But here's the critical part. You have to do this before you turn 73. Once RMDs start, your window for efficient Roth conversions closes. You can Now, let me address the common objections to Roth conversions. This is short-term thinking. Yes, paying taxes now hurts. Writing a check to the IRS for $4,000 sucks. But if you don't pay that $4,000 now, you're going to pay $10,000 or $15,000 later when RMDs force you to withdraw at higher rates in higher brackets. Would you rather? Tax rates are at historically low levels right now. The current tax brackets are set to expire in 2025, and they're likely to go up. The government has massive debt and underfunded entitlements. The trend is toward higher taxes, not lower. Betting on lower taxes in the future is like betting on winning the lottery. It might happen, but you shouldn't build your retirement plan around it. This is a real concern. Ideally, you want to pay the conversion taxes from money outside your retirement account. If you pay the taxes from the 401k itself, you're losing money to taxes that could have been compounding. But if you genuinely don't have outside cash, you can still do smaller conversions that you can afford. The key is to start. Even if you can only convert $5,000 per year, that's $5,000 that will grow tax-free and avoid RMDs. Something is better than nothing. Now let me tell you a story about someone who got absolutely destroyed by RMDs. I'll call him David. David was a successful engineer who retired at 62 with $1.8 million in his 401k. He was smart about money. He lived below his means. He had a pension that covered most of his expenses, so he barely touched his 401k. From 62 to 73, his 401k grew from $1.8 million to $2.5 million. He was thrilled. He thought he was building generational wealth for his kids. Then the RMDs started. At 73, he had to withdraw $94,250. He didn't need the money, so he paid the taxes and reinvested the rest. Same thing at 74, 75, 76. At 81, David had a stroke. He survived, but he needed full-time care. His medical expenses skyrocketed. Medicare covered some of it, but he was paying about $60,000 per year out of pocket for home health aides. Now here's where the RMD trap became a nightmare. David's 401k balance was still over $2 million. His RMD at 81 was over $105,000. He needed that money for medical care, so he wasn't reinvesting it anymore. But he still had to pay taxes on the full $105,000. His taxable income jumped from $80,000 to over $140,000 because of the medical withdrawals plus the forced RMD. This pushed him into the 24% federal bracket plus state taxes. He was paying $35,000 in taxes on money he desperately needed for medical care. At 85, David ran out of money. His 401k was gone. His taxable brokerage account was gone. He had paid over $400,000 in taxes on his RMD withdrawals over the years. If he had done Roth conversions in his 60s, he could have saved $300,000 of that. David's kids had to put him in a Medicaid nursing home because he couldn't afford private care anymore. The man who had saved $1.8 million ended up in a state-run facility because the tax system drained his wealth. This is not a rare story. This is happening to thousands of retirees right now. So what's the action plan? What should you actually do? Step 1. If you're under 73 and you have money in a traditional 401k or IRA, calculate how much you can convert to a Roth each year without jumping into the next tax bracket. Use a tax calculator or talk to a CPA. Do not guess. Step 2. Set up a Roth IRA if you don't have one already. This is easy. Any brokerage like Vanguard, Fidelity, or Schwab can do it in 10 minutes. Step 3. Execute your first Roth conversion before the end of the tax year. Start small if you need to. Even $10,000 is progress. Step 4. Repeat every year until you've converted as much as makes sense. For some people, that's 100% of their 401k. For others, it might be 50%. It depends on your situation. Step 5. If you're already over 73, you can still do Roth conversions on amounts above your RMD. It's harder, but it's not too late. Step 6. If you have a lot of money in traditional retirement accounts and you're in your 50s or early 60s, consider retiring early specifically to create a window for Roth conversions. If you retire at 57 and don't start Social Security until 70, you have 13 years of potentially very low tax brackets where you can convert massive amounts at 12 or 22%. This is what wealthy people do. They engineer their retirement to minimize taxes. Now, I want to address something important. The financial services industry does not want you to know about this. Why? Because Roth conversions don't make them money. When you do a Roth conversion, you're just moving money from one account to another. The brokerage doesn't charge fees for that. Financial advisors might charge you a planning fee to help you strategize, but it's a one-time thing. They'd rather have you keep your money in a traditional 401k where they can charge ongoing management fees and where you're more likely to panic and make emotional decisions that generate commissions. So they're not going to proactively bring this up. You have to ask. You have to demand it. And if your financial advisor tells you not to do Roth conversions, ask them why. Ask them to show you the numbers. Ask them to calculate your lifetime tax bill with conversions versus without. If they can't or won't do that, find a new advisor. Here's the brutal reality. The retirement system in America is designed to extract maximum taxes from your savings. Social Security is taxable. RMDs force withdrawals whether you need the money or not. Your heirs get taxed when they inherit. At every stage, the government has engineered a way to take a cut. The only way to opt out of some of this is through Roth conversions. It's not a perfect solution. You still have to pay taxes. But you get to pay them on your terms, at your timing, in your chosen bracket. That control is worth hundreds of thousands of dollars over a retirement. If you found this valuable, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment. Tell me how much you have in your traditional 401k and whether you've ever done a Roth conversion. Let's get a conversation going about this, because the more people who understand RMDs, the more people who can protect themselves. I'll see you in the next video.